9440. 4405. 944405.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jon Garlick and I'm here with Sheriff Matthew Wade, and this is Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Morning, Sheriff.
It's always good to be on the show, John. I tell you what, spring break in Calhoun County is in full effect. It was mainly last week, I think, but some schools change up a little bit, and there's a lot of kids out playing sports, baseball and softball, and it was really fun and nice weather for the most part. But I think this week in Calhoun County we might have some severe threats for bad weather. And it's been, last week was a year since we had a tornado hit Ohatchee and Roy Webb area. And we just want people to be aware of the weather and know how to get to storm shelters that are available.
Yeah, tomorrow, the show airs Tuesday night, so tomorrow, Wednesday, could be dangerous weather, but it's that season, so stay tuned to the Sheriff's Facebook page and the EMA's website.
Have a plan.
Have a plan, and be weather aware.
That's right.
Speaking of being aware, the citizens were aware last week, and they called in some
Hey, I
arrests.
tell you what, 3 arrests this week brings our count up to 4,972 arrests. I'm really looking forward to getting to 5,000, so please keep up the good work. It truly takes all of us to make a difference in our community, and law enforcement only works if the community believes in us and is willing to talk and help us. So we appreciate that you do for us, and we know it's a big responsibility, and we're here to help.
And we're here to help with some more stuff coming up on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Stay tuned for the first half of the lineup, and then a really important guest with us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up on our lineup this week, Chandra Ruff, Miss Ruff, last known to be living in Piedmont. She's wanted on a probation violation for obstruction of justice using a false ID and unlawful manufacturing of a controlled substance. And this is Walter McGrath. Mr. McGrath, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on a bond revocation for unlawful possession with intent to distribute. And take a look at Jimmy Brown. Mr. Brown, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on a failure to appear for a burglary third. And this is Cynthia Jackson. Miss Jackson, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted on a failure to appear for robbery third, theft of property first, and possession of a controlled substance. And have a look at Austin Jones. Mr. Jones, last known to be living in Atala. He's wanted on a probation violation for theft of property first and receiving stolen property first. And meet Andreas Savage. Mr. Savage, last known to be living in Birmingham. He's wanted for a failure to appear on theft of property second. And this is David Hunt. Mr. Hunt, last known to be living in Alabaster. He's wanted on a probation violation for theft of property second. And that's it for the first half of the lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that first half of the lineup. You might know where they are. If you do, call the Sheriff's Office. Call that Crime Stoppers number. You call, they haul. We're here with Susan Shipman, Executive Director of Second Chance.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm super good, and I'm really happy to be here today, Matthew.
Well, and we
Nice to see you.
just go on the record right now and say Second Chance does a lot of great work for a lot of good people, and we're thankful to have them in our community.
Thank you very much, and we're great partners with the Sheriff's Department. We're working real hard to put ourselves out of business, and until we do that, we'll keep doing what we do.
We're trying.
So April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and that's why I'm here to talk, is to remind everybody that it's also Child Abuse Awareness Month. And so Second Chance has got some events coming up. We're doing on Friday, April 1st, is Tailgate, where we're going to do a cookout kickoff in the parking lot at our offices at 617 Wilmer Avenue. Everyone's invited to come and visit with us and grab a hot dog and a drink and enjoy the company and meet some board members and meet some staff members.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's this Friday?
Friday.
Okay.
Starts at 11. We'll be done by about 1 o'clock. So we're looking forward to that.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
like hot dogs. I may just have to come down there.
You should.
What was that address again?
It's 617 Wilmer Avenue.
617 Wilmer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
The same day, the Children's Center is putting out pinwheels because, like she said, it's National Child Abuse Awareness Month, and they'll put out, I don't know how many hundreds of pinwheels they do every year. So a lot going on Friday for people that need help, that have been accosted in crimes through sexual assault. And child abuse a lot of times is sexual in nature as well. So they kind of tie together.
They do, and having the Children's Center as partners in the community is just wonderful for us, because that's where we send children that have had issues with sexual assault or abuse in their families.
Yeah, we have tons of services here in Calhoun County.
We
Second
do.
Chance and the Child Advocacy Center are two big supporters.
We couldn't make it without them. You know, getting people to those resources is what helps keep them alive and helps for successful prosecutions. And a lot of times is their only lifeline or opportunity they have to be somewhere safe. So.
Yeah, and the state of law enforcement is that morning, right?
I believe
on the
so.
Friday the 1st, yeah. So
wow,
looking forward to hearing about that as well, yeah. And then another of our signature events is the Journey for Hope that will be at Choccolocco Park on Saturday, April the 16th. We'll start with registration at 9:30, and then we just do a kind of a symbolic walk around the walking track there for the journey of recovery that victims and survivors have in their lives. You know, you don't just get over a sexual assault. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of help to do that. And so we're here for that. We'll have some T-shirts available, and we've got some water stations along the way, and hopefully the weather will be better than it was last year. It was a horrible, nasty day last year when we tried to do this. Oh, and I hear a rumor that we're going to have breakfast biscuits there as well.
Breakfast biscuits.
Yes.
Nice.
Feed them biscuits and they will come.
And this was the one, you changed it when we had Choccolocco Park built. This is the one that used to walk up Highway 21 to Jacksonville, right?
Yes, and the staff members called that the terror walk or the walk of death or something like that, because we're on the highway, and so we decided to do something safer. Yes.
Much safer here.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, very good. So tell us a little bit about Second Chance, so that our listeners who may be not familiar with what you guys do, although it's pretty obvious, but let's give them some information and contacts.
Absolutely. Second Chance provides safe shelter and supportive services for victims of domestic and sexual violence. We have 2 emergency shelters. One sleeps 23, the other sleeps 4, and it is designed for older women and women with limited mobility issues. It's all handicap accessible, and we only have 1 handicap room at the larger shelter, the JKC house, and so we were able to open the Legacy House in September of 2017. So we've been at that for a while. And then our sexual assault services include hospital accompaniment during the forensic exam. Oftentimes the nurse may not be well acquainted with the forensic exam, and granted there are excellent instructions that come with the kit, but having one of our people there, either a staff member or one of our SAFE team volunteers, puts everybody at ease. The advocate can talk to them about what's going to happen, you know, in the exam, and can talk to them about counseling services that are available and other things that you have to think about after you've been sexually assaulted, and give them information about Second Chance. We do follow-up services after the forensic exam. We have a full-time counselor at our offices and 3 victims advocates that do amazing work with victims. They're really good with helping people work through the recovery process after having a sexual assault. And sexual assault victims are welcomed in our shelters because, you know, if the rape occurs at their home, that's not a safe place for them while the perpetrator is still running amok in the community. And
well, good services. We're going to take a break. You can tell us more about Second Chance and their services, and we've got the second half of the lineup, so stay with us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, David White. Mr. White, last known to be living in Talladega, he's wanted for failure to appear on theft of property second. And take a look at Mohammed Sabri. Mr. Sabri, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana first. And this is Thomas Hale Jr. Mr. Hale, last known to be living in Piedmont, he's wanted on a failure to appear for possession of a controlled substance. And take a look at Jacob Brown. Mr. Brown, last known to be living in Gadsden, he's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance. And Meet Alan Gross. Mr. Gross, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted on a probation violation for possession of a forged instrument second. And meet James Poff. Mr. Poff, last known to be living in Piedmont, he's wanted on failure to appear for possession of a controlled substance and possession of marijuana second. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on these folks, please give the Crime Stoppers number a call. That number, 1-833-251-7867. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup. And if you did, give the Sheriff's Office a call. We're here with Susan Shipman, Executive Director of Second Chance. And you were telling us all the services before the break, and you have 2 shelters. How many total beds do you have?
The Joy Catherine Courtney House is our larger shelter, and it sleeps 23 relatively comfortably, and the Legacy House sleeps 4. So that's 27 total. We have seen 35 people in our larger emergency shelter at one time, because we're not going to turn someone away because we don't have a single bedroom for them to be in. We'll make it work. We've got the blow-up mattresses, and we have fold-out couches, and we will find room for a victim when they're fleeing an abusive situation and they need safe shelter.
So are you generally full most of the time?
It's really a kind of cyclical. It's no is the answer, but we're usually quite busy, and when we have a whole lot of children in the shelter, it's extremely busy.
Right.
Yeah, and this whole school thing has been so wonky. They're virtual, they're not virtual, they're in school, they're not in school, and so that's been challenging at our emergency shelter where kids are. And when you get 17 kids in the shelter, it's rowdy, very rowdy. Mm-hmm.
Now, you were talking about having victims advocates at the emergency rooms when the assault happens. Do we have SANE nurses at our emergency rooms?
We do not have enough qualified SANE nurses in the state of Alabama. And I don't really know what the answer to making that better is, besides pay their tuition for the certification or something like that.
Tell the viewers what SANE means. So that
tell us the acronym.
It's Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner, and that's a nurse that's taken special courses to learn the process of the forensic exam kit and a whole lot of other
which
things.
is very important to get right.
It is. It is. But like I said, the kit comes with amazing instructions, and so it's doable for any nurse on shift. A doctor is going to sign off on that, in the end when everything is done. And as far as the forensic exam kit is concerned, if a victim comes in and they don't want to have a kit done, they absolutely don't have to do that. If they want to maybe think about it, maybe they should have the evidence collected, have the kit completed. They can put a number on it instead of their name on it. And it's the Jane Doe or John Doe policy. And so that if later on that victim decides that they want to see some justice, then the evidence is still there. It hasn't gone away. And so, yeah, having our people there is really helpful for the nurse and for the victim, just to feel more at ease, if you can be at ease in that situation. And we're grateful for the volunteers that we have on our SAFE team. Our people work their regular 40-hour work week, and then having them go out at 10 a.m. for a sexual assault exam is sometimes difficult. And so we couldn't do this without all the volunteers that we have on the SAFE team that help with the calls at the hospitals.
Well, it's important calming the victim and easing their trauma, but gathering evidence for law enforcement so that they can do their job. Without evidence, it's difficult.
Well, what Second Chance does, law enforcement, we want to get the bad guy. We want to prosecute him and get the evidence. We want to do what we got to do to prosecute this guy. And sometimes in that translation, we're not necessarily as good as, say, somebody that's trained to be with them, to advocate for them, to say, are you okay? This is what you can expect. Here's this, here's that. While we're driven to get that evidence and we're driven to prosecute somebody, Second Chance is driven to take care of that person and all their different types of needs that they might have, from justice all the way down to, okay, do you need toiletries for tonight? Do you need a place to stay? This is what you can expect. People care about you, and we want to take care of you, and you don't have to worry about anything. We're going to make sure your needs are met, your children are safe, and you're safe. So extraordinary organizations.
And that's exactly right. You know, we have our roles to play, and it's just the facts, ma'am, from law enforcement when they're speaking with the victims, and then we are able to approach that from a trauma-informed, victim-centered point of view, and we work well together.
And it's very helpful. It's helpful for both of you to work
Both
together.
are needed. Both are needed.
Absolutely.
There are difficulties in prosecuting domestic violence and sexual assaults, aren't there?
It's paramount. A lot of times, you know, people, they're worried about, you know, they've been a victim, but then now they're worried about, if I do this, am I going to be made to look like I did something wrong? And having somebody that's been there that can say, look, this is you're not wrong. This is what you need to do. It really comforts them and helps them decide what they want to do in the prosecution. And it's just really, once again, we're lucky to have them and the Children's Center that take care of these adults and children that's been sexually assaulted or are in a bad abusive relationship. So I'm very, very thankful for them.
So it's difficult for the victims when they're in the midst of the storm to seek help. So what would you say to any of our viewers who might be in the middle of that storm right now and are afraid to reach out? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I'm concerned for your safety. Maybe in a domestic violence situation, I'm concerned for your safety. I know some resources, and I can make the call for you if you need for me to. In the cases of sexual assault, I believe you is so important. I believe you because, you know, and oftentimes the victim thinks nobody will believe me that this has been done to me. They won't believe that this person has done this, you know. People in prominent positions, in particular in domestic violence situations, the victim is like, yeah, nobody's going to believe me. I can't do this. And so that's one of our main philosophies is, you know, we believe the victims until, you know, something proves that otherwise.
So you believe them. Give them really quickly what the contact information if they're in trouble. Who can they call?
Sure. Our crisis line number is 256-236-7233. That's SAFE, SAFE, so it's 236-SAFE. That telephone is going to ring at the Joy Catherine Courtney House, and any of our victims advocates that answer the telephone there can guide you to the right source.
Thank you, Susan. We appreciate you being on the show and letting us know. Stay tuned with us. We have the Crime Stoppers portion of the show, and then it's crazy criminal time here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask you to help us with the following cases. First up, on March 15th, a home located on Angel Drive South in Jacksonville was burglarized. An electric guitar and string-based guitar were stolen from that location. And on March 14th, the radio detection transmitter and a bag of various tools were stolen from a roadside in the area of Brayton Road South and Ingram Road in Ohatchee. And between March 14th and March 16th, this home, located on Choccolocca Road in Anniston, was burglarized. A .38 caliber handgun and medication were stolen from that location. And on March 7th, the concession stand at Weaver High School, located on Claremont Drive in Weaver, was burglarized. Damage to the concession stand occurred, but no property was reported stolen. And on March 6th, the concession stand located at Pleasant Valley Recreation Sports Facility, located on Cedar Springs Drive in Jacksonville, was burglarized. An industrial popcorn machine was stolen from that location. And between February 8th and February 11th, 4 industrial air conditioning units were stolen from a business located on Highway 431 in Alexandria. And between December 29th and March 1st, a Glock 9mm was stolen from a home located on McGinnis Drive in Jacksonville. And that's it for the Crime Stoppers portion of the show. If you have any information on these cases, and we hope you do, please give Crime Stoppers a call. That number, 1-833-251-7867.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
It's crazy criminal time.
I tell you what, you can't make this stuff up. We say that all the time.
We
You
do.
just can't make this stuff up. In December of this year, December the 14th of 2021, in Bellevue, Washington, there's a Dodge Challenger that was at a dealership in Bellevue, Washington. You can see there's no tires on it, right?
Yeah.
So a suspect went to this dealership, jacked the car up, and stole the rims off of it.
Huh.
So he put the rims in his red Challenger and drove across the street and had jacked his red Challenger up and was changing out the rims and tires that he just stole. Well, a Bellevue police officer noticed this car, noticed this vehicle on jacks, missing its tires, saw across the street, saw the guy, so he went over there to approach this guy. The guy in the red Dodge Challenger that stole the tires dove in the Challenger and went to take off. He put it in drive and hit the gas, but he didn't go anywhere because his car was on jacks, just like this one. So the police officer just kindly walked up and took him out of the car and handcuffed him and took him to jail. So we appreciate the fact that if you're going to do a crime, we appreciate the fact that you're not very smart about it. It helps us out very much. So if you're going to steal, which we don't recommend, you need to be a real smart person, but for the most part, you're going to get caught. So just don't do it. Go to work, buy the stuff you want, and be a good citizen. And just remember, if your car's on jacks, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yep, and clearly he must have been jacked up on something.
That's right.
Well, Sheriff, it's good to have you on the show
good to be
again.
on the show.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
A little
Thank
late,
you.
but
Thank
happy
you.
birthday. And everybody have a happy week. Stay weather aware. We've got some bad weather coming. And we'll see you again next week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.